When you had this team, obviously it's now a legendary team, Spirit of Amiga, which is the first big Danish team, etc. Right? Give me some thoughts on this, because I know like the thing with that team was like you were behind it, but at the time no one knew who run these teams or who was the team organizer or whatever. Like there wasn't a thing back then. There wasn't managers or whatever. You know, it was mainly just the players. So mainly the obvious famous player was Crash Jack, the captain, and then that in itself led to some disputes later on. There was the breaking of the team, etc. Give us some thoughts. The genesis of this team, or what was the point of it? Was it really just like a lot of the teams? Like, was it just mates starting out? Did you actually know we were going to be competitive and we're going to try and sort of advance towards the early pro scene?
Yes. I think it started out, probably, significantly more unserious, but with that goal in mind, though. Like, the approach to it was not structured or, like, particularly strategic. They were just having fun playing the game. But it was a group of people that were from a local internet cafe in Odense, Denmark. And they were actually playing against the rival internet cafe in that city. The city was just big enough to sustain financially 2 internet cafes. So of course they had rival teams that would play against each other, right? So the owners became invested in this because, fuck the competition. And here we can, get someone to shoot them in the fucking head. Like, it's a good feeling as a business owner to see that happen to a competitor. And that's actually how a lot of those teams started. So I started that way. Over time it then grew, but there was always a goal of winning, both because Counter-Strike is, a game about winning, but also as a team spirit. I think the team relatively quickly went from just having the locals on the cafe that were good to also finding people in the, I think the point was that it started with a competitive mindset. They just quickly expanded outside of the confinements of building a fucking business from inside, the 10 local customers you have every day, that you can't build anything with that.
Since obviously the name of the team, we have to address that, right? Because as you mentioned earlier, I'll actually just quickly explain for people who don't know. When he said the demo scene, right, what's going to be confusing about that is, because it's actually a thing that's a throwback. You can still see it at DreamHack, I noticed. The demo scene basically is like a programming challenge where you can only fit a certain amount of size, right? And so what you have to do is you have to make that as crazy as you can, because it's only like, I don't even know how much, like 64K or something stupid. So it's a ridiculously small amount, because the idea is, it's like that famous quote, is it necessity is the mother of invention. And what you find is, over the years, people just get more and more ridiculous with, like, fucking some like compression technique or algorithm, and basically they can just do absurd things in terms of like how actually amazing it looks. And from this, famously, one of the things they would do was music was a big part of it, because the Amiga famously had a fucking amazing chipset in it compared to like any of those dog shit consoles, etc. And so back in the day, now I didn't know about any of that demo scene shit, but the reason I knew about this is, listen, I think the statute of limitations might have passed now. I was fucking cracking all them games on the Amiga. That's the reason why I had an Amiga, mate. I was poor in the Northeast. Games are free if you know what you're doing. So when you play the cracked game, of course, the person who cracked it, that just means they basically made it for free for you. What they do is they always slap, like as though they were like super hackers, they slap their fucking logo over, and they always put some straight fire chip tune on there. Usually it's the classic ones, fucking Mactone or something, all the best ones, And basically, like, if you were in this era, because in your brain, when that music starts, it's like, shit, I'm going to get to play the game now. Oh, fuck, I've got this game for free. It actually has warped my brain, because I have those tracks, for example, on like my fucking music player now. Like I've had one time where, just for hilarity, one time, by pure coincidence, I was listening to like a fucking, like an iTunes or whatever, like iPod. And someone did one say, what are you listening to? And I was like, I didn't even explain it. I just gave them one earbud. And they were like, what the fuck is that? And I was like, believe it or not, that's actually really sick music. It's just, I understand that the palette you have to have for it is really obscure. So what I'm saying here is, right, if you were like an Amiga gamer, it almost was like some sort of fucked up identity at the time, because it's such a niche thing to be into. So why call the team this? Because I think it's actually one of the sickest names of all time, mate. Maybe it's just me being a boomer, but I always thought that was a great name, because the idea of being the spirit of Amiga, go explain it to me. Why have that name?
So the guys back then chose it. I didn't do it. Pure coincidence that I was just a demo scene guy who ended up with the brand in my hands. No, I think it was Krastek and Bollemilk, which means screw milk in Danish. I think it was those guys who came up with the name, and that was specifically because I just fucking loved playing Amiga as a kid. I later, when I was the brand manager, tried to infuse my demo scene DNA into it, so I made our logo into like the workbench disc from Amiga.
Yes.
And I took my favorite sit tune of all times and added it to our website to increase the number of daily visits to the website.
I bet people clicked it loads and refreshed it loads just to listen to that track.
Oh,
right?
yes. So back then there were no like analytics tools to measure how much traffic you had on your webpage. If you had a hit a day, you were generally pretty happy with it. So no one has had invented tools for that. One of the first ones was called charge.dk, and what you did was to install like a little script button that would real time show, there was 2 other people visiting this site right now. But what it would really do is then made a ranking list of websites in different categories you could then go to. Right. And I went to the gaming category with my SOA page, looked at it and okay, I want to dominate this category. I built a brand by dominating this category. This is where it starts. So what can I do? And I'm like, okay. I converted this mod file to MP3, made a looping player on the website, and then, a week after we had won the gaming category, and we stayed there for a while.